Welcome to Modern Management of the Older Adult, brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are live on YouTube and live on Instagram. Welcome to the MMOA podcast brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. I am Dr. Samantha Chamberlain. I am a TA within the Older Adult Division, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. We have several courses coming up this month and throughout the year. We just started our current cohort of Essential Foundations, and if you've already taken that, the Advanced Concepts class starts this week, Thursday, January 12th. So if you've taken Essential Foundations, we would love to have you in Advanced Concepts starting this week. We have lots of live courses coming up too. Let me just go through a few of them as they're coming up this weekend and into the month. So January 14th, we have National City, California, as well as Hendersonville, Tennessee going on. January 21st, we'll be in Santa Rosa, California, as well as Greenville, South Carolina, so across the country. And then February 4th, we are in Beaverton, Oregon, and Choctaw, Oklahoma. Both of those courses are in CrossFit boxes, separate parts of the country. Let me repeat that. 2 geriatric PT courses going on the same weekend in CrossFit boxes, and I think that's freaking awesome. So just wanted to highlight those for you. If you're interested in joining us, please do so. So today's topic is gamifying therapy. We're going to touch a little bit on the research, but more want to give you some things that you can apply to the clinic today, tomorrow, whenever you're going to be with patients. So turns out therapy visits and the principles of games are already quite similar. We just haven't framed it that way in our mind. We're busy getting through the treatment. We're not really thinking of it that way. So we just need to take what we're doing and reframe it to help the patient have more fun. No, it's not our job to make every part of life enjoyable, but if we have the opportunity to do so, then I don't see a darn reason why we shouldn't do it. So those positive vibes your client gets to leave with from a solid social interaction with you, getting the lift a little bit heavier, and having some laughs along the way is a potent concoction for living long and living strong long into life. So why not add some years to people's lives just by making therapy a little bit more fun and enjoyable? So a little bit about games to shift your view on what therapy and games are, and then we'll dive into those 3 things I mentioned. So from a programming standpoint, some things to consider how they're similar. And this is from the Pediatric Physical Therapy Journal, and it's an article entitled Gamification in PT More Than Using Games. So these kind of comparisons were made. There's considered little game and big game. You can think of those as your short-term goals and your long-term goals. Little games are at separate levels and different skills are being trained. So, but they're connected skills that lead to that final major goal. So like they use the comparison of Mario Kart, you're learning how to jump, you're learning how to shoot. And then in therapy, you can kind of connect this with your short-term goals. So there's separate goals within your sessions, like the sub skill. So taking a small step, standing on one leg, doing squats. So those points of performance for those activities you want to be able to build on are going to be your little games. And then big games were defined as the final goal that needs to be attained when all levels have been completed. Completed and all skills learned, such as in Mario Bros. Defeating the big enemy each level, and then jumping on him or shooting at him. So all those tiny skills you had to learn along the way. So the jumping that you learned in the small games, and then shooting, you learned those, but you had to compile them to be able to defeat the big enemy at the end. So then your final goal of therapy are going to use those sub skills. So you learned how to squat, you learned how to deadlift, you learned how to bend down safely, now translate into a floor transfer, right? So maybe your big goal is a floor transfer. You can start making this more of a game or laying it out in the same way. Like we're going to use these small goals to achieve this big goal, just like you would in a game. And it just makes that mindset shift a little bit, which allows it to be a little bit more fun and you feel more accomplished because although their long-term goal is going to be that floor transfer, if they didn't achieve it on that day, then they feel like they didn't accomplish anything. But if you break it down into these sub skills and they achieve it and they accomplished it and you're able to point that out to them, then they kind of get that accomplishment high. So if nothing else, now you can think about going to work every day like you're leveling up and try to watch out for banana peels. So try not to do that. And then Looking into the specifics of games a little bit further, there's what was it in? It was Gamifying Motor Rehabilitation Therapies, Challenges and Opportunities of Immersive Technologies. So when looking at game-specific tasks, you can kind of start thinking out of the box and get more creative by breaking down the task. So there are multiple game elements. So there's a goal or a task to a game. That's something the players must achieve or work towards. We already can apply that pretty, across the board to therapy. There are rules in games, and they express how the game is supposed to be played. So the rules, you're supposed to attend therapy twice a week and perform the dosed HEP 3 times a week. That's an example of what your rules could be. Rules could also be your points of performance for a given movement or intervention task. User levels. Levels in therapy can relate to progression or regression. And you really want to hit those save checkpoints, right? Like we want to make sure that they're able to sustain the movement pattern that you achieved one visit to the next visit. So it's kind of like that save check mark. Feedback. For every action performed, there should be an immediate gamed response of success or failure. So our feedback of success or failure is going to be setting your patient up for success. So if you know that they did a certain weight last time and you're pretty confident they could do quite a bit higher weight, kind of split the difference so that you know that they're going to be able to achieve that success and get that accomplishment high yet again. Then there's a point system. So point system could be a few different ways. Just an example is you could have visit count. You could use reps as your point system. You could use weights as your point system. Those are all ways to track progress, just like a point system is allotted to a game. Leaderboards, something cool I used to do in a clinic that I worked at was having, and it kind of created a more social interaction too, was creating a leaderboard. So they could put a nickname, they could put their name, just make sure it's, compliant and they're choosing to put it on there. So it for HIPAA purposes, they've put it up themselves. You didn't write their name on there. And then like I would have a squat challenge, or I would have, how many squats can you do in 30 seconds? And there would just be this leaderboard. So that's another way that you can incorporate that, or you can just incorporate it towards their therapy treatment themselves. And then of course there's time pressure. That's another way to evaluate or make it more competitive, is putting a time that can also be visit count, but also putting a time like reps per time or reps per set time. So that's easy to accomplish and add to things that you're already doing, is just make a time component, and then it becomes self-competitive. So humans really like achievement. So if you're able to frame therapy in a more task-oriented way, or even gamify the whole process, kind of like what I walked you through, making the whole therapy visit a game process, instead of just putting it in documentation, have those same notes-based discussions with your patients. Last visit, I noted you did this many reps with weight. Let's see if you can do the same rep count with this higher weight. Suddenly, you fired a hit of self-competition. This is especially helpful when you're pretty sure they're able to do that rep set with no problem. And then, again, you get that accomplishment high. So into the stuff you really want to hear about. 3 things to try today that can be very potent for your individuals. Play catch, do something competitive, or just dance. Digging more into playing catch and why that's such a potent exercise for people to do. It can be softball, football, basketball, whatever they have an interest in, soccer, a kickball, whatever you can kind of relate to something in their life or something they want to be able to do. If they haven't had a history of playing sports, or they don't really mention anything that they like to play, just playing catch with whatever ball you have in the clinic is so helpful. So it helps with anticipatory postural adjustments with just one session. There's a whole article on this. It was out of the Brain Research article, or Brain Research Journal. And it was enhancement of anticipatory postural adjustments in older adults as a result of single session of ball throwing. And then the University of Illinois put out a kind of perspective on that and how that helped. So I could speculate that the improved quality of life is due to a decreased fear of falling, as people are able to enjoy their day-to-day more without constantly thinking or being worried about falling, because they now have this better corrective and anticipatory balance to help them. So that article out of Chicago highlighted that nearly all the subjects, both young and old, enjoyed the training exercise. And it seems most people have a very positive memories associated with playing catch. So that creates this just joy with coming to therapy, with improving their quality of life, with doing something that they thought was part of their past that they weren't going to be able to do anymore. So just all these different things. Then you can start sitting down. So get them, mid to edge of chair or edge of bed, and then they play catch. They get that trunk control. They get that anticipatory balance control. And then you bring it to standing with the chair behind them so they still feel safe. So set up your environment for them to have success. Another way to add to your gamification in therapy is competition. That can be against themselves. It can be against a family member. It can be against you. So you can do a 30-second sit to stand. You got 7. I would like you to rest for 2 minutes, and then we're going to see if you can beat your own score. Or if they are not going to be able to do that much in one visit, you can say, hey, you got 7 of these in 30 seconds last visit. I would like to see if you can get 8 today. You can also use clock yourself or timed activities such as a floor transfer. Hey, you did this floor transfer in 1:24 last time I saw you. Let's see if we can get under 1:20. And then suddenly they have this extra drive to try to do better each time because they know exactly what target they have to hit to do better. And then that competitive spirit kind of comes out. Another way to do competition is dual task, which I'll give you a little bonus exercise for that one. And then dancing. This can be with tactile cues, their hands up, your hands up, and you're just pushing and they're stepping in response to you. So there's that anticipatory control. And then you can do simple steps to the beat of music, like just put on some music and tell them to step side to side to the beat. Without even telling them they're going to be dancing, you can get this response. Oh, it's almost like dancing. Yes, it is. If they like to dance, you can, of course, form it as, hey, we're going to dance today. And they're going to be hesitant because they're nervous about doing something that might be embarrassing. But once they get going and once you start having fun with them and not being fearful of the embarrassment yourself, man, it's so much fun. You can also use music with instructions built right in, such as the cha-cha slide. Most people have heard it before, and it's really easy to follow those steps without it being overly challenging, but you're still getting that postural control balance. So for your to-do list for your next in-clinic day, try one of these or all of these, and that's playing catch. Make it competitive in some form, or try dancing. A bonus one is gamifying a dual task. So really simple one is give an objective, such as name at least 5 foods that start with the letter A by the time you walk down and back, and you can have some objects in the way, like they either have to step over or go around. So kind of an obstacle course pathway, and they're still trying to name something that starts with the letter A, or 5 animals, 5 foods that start with the letter A, or whatever it may be, maybe 5 books they've read recently. So they're still having to dual task. There's that cognitive load as well as that motor task of walking back and forth. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a great day building resiliency in your clients. And thank you so much for listening, and happy aging.
Thank you for listening to the MMOA podcast. If you found this helpful, please share with someone that could benefit. And if you're looking for more practical content to help you better serve older adults, head over to www.mmoa.online, where you can learn more about our free resources, our community, continuing education courses, and our certification. Once again, that's www.mmoa.online. Thanks for listening.